Finally get to head back to New England. My wife sent me a video yesterday and it was snowing, snowflakes that freaking big. So last day in North Carolina, I've been traveling all over the place. But time to get home. So, thinking about casting a long-term strategic vision, it's one thing to put it out there and to write it down. And then it's another thing to do what I call live into it, or living into it, right? And a simple word for that is taking action on those ideas. And what we've been doing the last couple of weeks is not necessarily going to have an impact on any immediate planning, but we're planting the seed for the future. And because timing is everything, like jiu-jitsu, you're either early, you're on time, or you're late. What's more important than that is controlling the pace of the match and effectively like seeing around the corner or reading the tea leaves. But if you control the pace of the match and weigh your risks and opportunities, then you can also control the timing of things. But without a long-term plan, a long-term strategy, you're not even sure who's in your weight class. You're not even sure how you need to prepare, what you should be doing for calisthenics, for strength and conditioning, for your diet, and I talk about business like a monster, and it's like fun when it's small. It's like this cool little thing. It makes you feel good. You get all sorts of dopamine, because you're building something or making something. And then it gets bigger and heavier, and it needs to consume more, and it needs to eat. And what it eats is time, capital, and capacity. Those are the macros of the monster. And it's gonna grow if you feed it right. It's gonna grow and thrive, and if you don't feed it what it needs on time seasonally, then you get bit. And that's why long term you need to understand where things are going. What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? How are you going to try to scale? And so it's one thing just to put it out there, like, hey, we want to be this, we want to do this, and then taking action and living into that thing it's a whole nother thing, right? You're not going to sit on your haunches and sit behind a screen and expect everything to come to you. It doesn't happen like that. You have to go to them. I've talked about shaking hands, warm bodies, and real conversations. That's all I spent the last couple of weeks doing. And in 2 hours, 2 hours with somebody who you may need to align with. In our case, we definitely need to align with these folks that I met with, whether that's the CEO of a company like San Antonio Shoe or the owner of a 5,000 acre cotton patch in West Texas. You can solve more in 2 hours than you can in 2 years. And that may be a little bit of an exaggeration, but when it comes to relationship building, you can solve more in 2 hours in person than you can in 2 years through email trying to get to know one another. Because mostly through email, everything is cold. You're not going to get to learn about somebody. Never do you start a business relationship and you say through email, hey, it's great to meet you. Tell me about your family. Tell me about what you're passionate about. Tell me about what your goals are, what you're trying to do. It's never the case. And so email is cold outreach, regardless if there's a warm introduction or not. It's cold. So going and seeing and having conversations, that's the only way. And for us, I know that some things are going to need to happen in the next 24 to 36 months. And I know that the relationships that we're going to need to be established now, ahead of time, right? Like I need to start building those relationships right now for 2027, 2028. Because we've weighed as a team against the strategy and the long-term strategic vision. We've weighed the risks and opportunities. And supply chain is one of our biggest risks, right? This American supply chain, it's so damn fragile. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just fragile. And now they're talking about not rescinding the Berry Amendment, but basically making it virtually non-existent. The Berry Amendment is basically like a piece of legislation that forces any goods made for America's military and footwear and apparel and other things to be sourced and made in America. And it's pretty loose right now. That's why Origin's always said better than Berry. That's our promise to the customers, that we will be better than Berry. So everything will come from a U.S. supply chain, not just some things. Well, they're talking about rescinding that even deeper. And if that happens, it's really, really going to hurt our supply chain more fragile than it already is. Versus our federal government taking some of those hard-earned tax dollars and dumping it into infrastructure and rebuilding. And so that's something we want to fight against. We don't want this to happen. We want to fight the TMU and Shein model. We want to fight that ideology. We want to fight those cheap and cheerful goods coming in millions of packages a day. And we want to fight to keep the government from dissolving the last thing that's virtually keeping America's manufacturing community hanging on. We only do that through the way we consume, through consumption. And I talk about this a lot, and you're probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but this is my vlog, so I get to talk about what I want. And you can listen or shut it off. But there's got to be a voice fighting for this. And sometimes I feel like I'm a bit on an island. Jocko does a great job of fighting for this too through his podcast and his words. He's been proliferating this message alongside me for the last she's going to be almost 10 years now, 9 years maybe. But we need more people, more people that are not just fighting with their words, but are fighting with their dollar. And I think that's what's so damn important. Anyways, it's early. It's some woman over there in the corner ripping a butt. Isn't that interesting? In America, when people smoke, they kind of hide. In Europe, it's like the sophisticated thing to do. It's like socially acceptable. In the U.S., it's not socially acceptable anymore. I'm not a nicotine consumer, never have been, so I don't know much about it, but I'm in Asheboro, North Carolina right now. and this is where our factory is. It's 2 miles down the road. This community was once on 60 Minutes for one of America's fastest dying towns. If you look it up on YouTube, Asheboro, North Carolina, one of America's fastest dying towns, 60 Minutes. They'll talk about it. This community shuttered hard. It was all manufacturing, lots of hosiery mills and plants and knitting and all sorts of shit. And it shuttered hard, but now the community is transformed, and it just shows the resilience of the American people when they decide to unite around a common goal. We want to win. We're born to be winners. We're trained, we're educated to be winners and rebellious, and yet we let sleight of hand and trickery convince us that the biggest lies and the thing that's destroying us is good, because we get dopamine from it. And I don't know how to say it any different than that. There's things we can't let happen as Americans, as members of our communities, and I just stress to, like, this has got to be a call to arms to try and fix what's broken. It doesn't matter what administration is here. You know, I don't watch the news. I don't watch politics. Greed plays in all circles. It's politically agnostic. It doesn't give a shit what side you sit on. And so I don't look necessarily to the politicians to help us. Yet they'll never feel truly obligated to invest back in America, in America's infrastructure, manufacturing infrastructure specifically, if we don't raise our voice and change our behavior. So anyways, little diatribe this morning. It's early, it's pre-caffeine. I'm gonna get a cappuccino this morning here at Brewski's in Asheboro, North Carolina. And I'll see you back in Maine.